guys, good afternoon and welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Pavitra Parekh. We've had a lot of queries that have come in, so we're going to get to all of that in just a bit. But first up, a look at the markets. Not too much really happening today. It is around a 70-point gain that we are seeing on the Nifty. So, things have moved up once again after that dip that we got just a while ago. The mid-cap index also, after trading pretty much at the flat line, also turning negative for the week, has once again jumped up. It is still around 200 points off the highs, but for now holding up with a 0.2% kind of gain. What's looking good is the banking pack today. So that is up around 140 points. That is holding up very well. And this entire week actually has been a lot about the PSU banking names. So that index is still up around 7% for the week. We're going to talk about a lot of the individual stocks which, you sent in queries on. And today as well, all of the action is really beneath the surface. So while it looks quiet on the top, there's a lot going on in terms of individual stock specific news. So let me quickly invite our guests on the show. We have market expert Shahina Mukadam joining us. She's going to take us through all of the fundamentals, and also Kush Bohra to track the technicals and tell us how things are looking on the charts. Shahina, Kush, as always, thank you very much for being with us on the show and taking out the time for all of these individual queries. The first one comes in from S. Jayakumar, who writes in to us from Tamil Nadu. Now, he says he holds 1,000 shares of Rishabh Instruments. This is a very recently listed company at around 458. That is the listing day. He says he's a long-term investor and wants to know whether he should hold or sell. Rishabh Instruments is a stock which has come off a little bit from the listing day. It also listed pretty flat. I think it was just around a 4% kind of premium. Of course, we don't have too much in terms of the data and charts that Kush can really track. So let me toss this one to Shahina. Shahina, take us through how this one looks to you. And considering that this investor is looking at it from a long-term kind of perspective, would you advise he stay with this investment?
Well, I think, yeah, because while valuations on listing were not, it's not cheap, but at the same time, it's not too stretched. And a lot of institutional investors, quality ones, have actually participated in the issue. So I think the, investor can wait for the stock to settle if he's going to add. But at the same time, if he's making money, like, at some time in the near term, then he can book, otherwise hold for the very long term.
Okay, hold for the very long term. That is the call coming in on Rishabh Instruments. The next query is from Arjun Sharma, who writes in from Patna. Now, he holds 20 shares of State Bank of India, SBI, bought at 400. He wants to know whether he should buy more of the stock right now or should he look elsewhere. I don't know the kind of time horizon that he's looking at, but if he bought at 400, it's probably been a little bit of time that he's been holding this. Kush, let me come to you on this one. In the past month or so, SBI is up around 5-6%, and not just SBI, the entire PSU banking space has done very well. We were just talking about how this week itself that index is up 7%. How would you look at SBI within the pack? And also, is there anything else within this space that looks ripe for an investment to you?
Hi, Pavitra. First up, thank you for having me on the show. Hi, Shahina. Well, see, the PSU rally, I think, is still, it still has some legs to it. And if the investor, first up, congratulations to him as well, buying at 400, holding up until 600, fabulous. So I think the horizon is very clear. He wouldn't mind waiting for, some more time. In fact, I would suggest that if the horizon's anywhere, beyond a year's time, then I think adding more is also not a bad option. The stocks just come off its highs, 625 odd, it dipped to 575 and again gaining from strength. So I think this is something that, can be added more on declines. I see levels of 700 plus in the coming years time frame on SBI. And when you speak about something else, there are a lot of stocks, smaller names that are doing well. But I would suggest the likes of Canara Bank is something also that should be on the radar. So SBI, hold or add more, and Canara Bank is something that can also be put on the radar.
All right, got that. That is helpful advice on this investment. Shahina, coming to you on SBI, do you think it's a no-brainer that if you have a long-term kind of outlook, you should hold on to this?
Yeah, actually the stock has consolidated, and based on valuation, it looks like a good buy even at current levels if you're looking at medium to longer term. Price to book just about 1.4 times is not expensive for SBI. Also, in terms of credit growth, it's likely to be pretty decent, double digit over the next 1 to 2 years. So, and asset book is the quality is improving. Provision coverage is pretty good. So one can look to add and also continue to hold existing investment.
Okay, got that. That is on SBI. The next query is from K. Gopal. He's actually on the line with us from Andhra Pradesh, and he joins us now. Mr. Gopal, I hear you have investments in Escorts. So take us through what your query is, and both of our guests are on the line as well. So they will be able to help you with this.
Okay, madam. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Gopal. What is your query? I hear you have investments in Escorts.
Yes, madam. Sir, hello.
Okay, how many shares do you hold? What are...
Madam, I have purchased
All right,
1,000
I think
shares,
we do
madam.
have some... Okay. And at what price?
At 2,356 rupees, madam.
Okay, so you've definitely made some money on this. It's done well for you. But how long are you willing to hold this investment? Are you looking for a long-term kind of view on this?
Madam, I want to add some further 1 year, madam. I want to invest further 1 year.
Okay. All right, got that. Shahina bought at 23.56, so money has been made on this one, but he's saying he's willing to stay invested for another year or so. Do you think this is a good one to hold? I mean, the entire auto pack has been rallying, but I think for Escorts and perhaps names like Leyland, the worry has only been around the monsoon season, which is a little bit deficient, and if that could cause some impact. But the stock has done well as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And since the investor has made money, he can continue to hold. I believe, you can keep a stop loss. Basically, the numbers in the Q1 were very strong. And the best part is that margins are improving. So, even if there is some, I would say, consolidation of volume, not growing as strongly as it did in the last year, I think the expansion in margins is likely to, keep the profits pretty strong in terms of profit increase. Also, now with the promoter, Kubota, a very strong Japanese promoter, I think it's a good long-term investment in your portfolio. So, monsoons is an issue, but I would suggest that Gopalji continues to hold unless he has some major reason to sell.
Okay, continue to hold Escorts. Kush, would you agree with that view? This stock has really done well. I think in just 1 month, it's up around 17-18%. If I look at a 6-month chart, it's up around 70%. The question is, how much more can he make in 1 year?
The views, a year plus, there's definitely, no reason to sell it out right now. He could very well hold on, and the stock could see, levels of 3,700 plus, in the coming years time frame. If the view was a little shorter, I would have suggested booking it partially because it's gone into a bit of a consolidation mode. But from a year's perspective, 3,700, 3,800 is something that the stock could, run up to. However, a trailing stop loss is something that should always be in place. So 29.50 is where I would place my trailing stop loss in case the stock was to fall below that. At least I'd take some money home.
Okay, got that. Mr. Gopal, I hope that helps you. That is both the fundamental as well as technical view on this on Escorts Kubota. But with that, let's move on and talk about our next query. We have Samir Kumar who writes in, and he is writing in from Patna. He says he has 30,000 shares of Future Retail. The stock is just around 4 rupees right now, 3.6. He bought it at 5.87. And he also has 10,000 shares of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank at around 49.7. He says he is making losses in his investments and wants to know whether to book his losses or should he stay invested and hope for something better. Shahina, unfortunately, making losses in both Future Retail as well as Ujjivan. But what would you recommend? I don't know how long he's willing to hold, but let's say he has a medium to long-term kind of perspective.
Well, let's take the easy one first, which is Ujjivan. I think he can continue to hold Ujjivan Small Bank. It is one of the largest small banks, and also growth of 25% plus expected in terms of credit. The net NPA is pretty low. Valuations at about 1.8 looks pretty okay. So he can continue to hold that. Do keep stop loss. and I think a target of closer to his buy, maybe buy price, or could be something like 55, 60 is possible. Now, future retail is a problem. Basically, of course, it's a penny stock, and there are a lot of cases against the promoter. So I really don't know if the investor will finally make any money, but having already lost, and the stock, trading at, it's a loss making. So fundamentally, there's nothing. So it's basically like a tukka. You hold it and just wait, or you sell it and exit.
Okay, got that. That is, good advice coming in over there as well. Shahina, Kush, we've gotten through a lot of queries, but we have lots more, so I request you to stay on. We have to take a short break at this point, but we'll be back and then get back to these queries that have come through. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Your Stocks here on CNBC TV18, and we still have Shahina and Kush with us to answer all of your stock-specific queries which have come in. So let's get straight to the next one. This is on ITC. We have Aman Kapoor who writes in, and he holds 30 shares of ITC, bought at 300. He says he's a long-term investor and now wants to know whether he should buy more of the stock at current levels or not. Shahina, coming to you on this, the stock pulled back a little bit, after the demerger news, but do you think for someone who wants to buy more right now, you would still recommend it?
Yeah, I believe that, it still makes a decent investment, because the valuation story, if you compare it with the rest of the FMCG stocks, is still attractive. Secondly, the hotel business will offer you that additional kicker, while it is, a 1 year down the line, but the prospects of, consolidation and growth in the hotel business is very strong. So I think to that extent, there is that extra value. So one can continue to hold because the cigarette business is the cash cow and continues to do very well. The EBITDA margins are so high. So I don't see any reason why one cannot keep on adding to your portfolio ITC, which I do, and then hold it for the longer term.
Okay, hold it for the longer term, and you can perhaps use this opportunity to, go ahead and add more. Kush, how is this looking to you on the charts? Like I was mentioning, there was a pullback that, came through after that strong rally we saw earlier this year. I think at the highs, it was over 490 as well. But what do you recommend on this one now?
499.7 to be precise, and it's done actually quite well from there. It dipped, or rather, after the dip, it's actually done quite well. 430 almost, it had gone to, but it's now showing some signs of strength. So this is actually a good time to enter. We usually don't recommend, when the stock's actually sliding down, but for the last a couple of sessions, if you see, last about a month or so, the stocks held on to the 430 level and rising gradually from there, and that's the kind of move that you can expect from ITC. So all in all, the investment is at a lower price. What I'm happy about is the fact that the investment's making good returns, and he's actually looking to add more. That's actually a very good way to invest or average on the upside. So continue holding on to the existing position. Not a bad idea to add more, because after the dip, the recovery is very clear and very evident. I wouldn't be surprised seeing levels of 520 plus in the coming year or so, kind of a time frame.
Okay, got that. So I think both of our guests agreeing there that this is one that you can hold or perhaps look to add more as well. The next one comes in from Suhas, who writes in from Pune. Now he says he has 100 shares of Aster DM Healthcare, which he bought at 270. The stock is over 340 now, 343 to be precise. It's actually pretty much near its all-time highs as well. He wants to know whether to book profits or stay invested in this one. Kush, it's almost 50% higher in just 6 months or so. Like I was saying, trading near the highs, you would stay invested?
Certainly. The only suggestion that I would have on this one is to keep a trailing stop loss of 325. The pharma pack has now started to do well, but if you dial back the clock a little, the hospital stocks, have been doing rather well for a while now. And there isn't a reason particularly to suggest that, they're probably going to cool off anytime soon. So my suggestion would be, ride this wave, hold on to this one. My trailing stop loss here would be 325. And the near-term targets that I'm looking at it are 375 and plus.
Okay, and Shahina, what would your call be on Aster DM? Do you think that this is one that you should hold from a longer term kind of view?
Well, see, the promoter has a very high pledge in Aster in this hospital stock. Now, basically, while they are growing and they have got a unique business, with presence both domestically as well as in the GCC countries, I think there is going to be some bit of restructuring that will happen to bring down the pledge and to make to increase. The capital investment capability of the promoter group as well as for the hospital business, which is actually quite capital intensive. So what I would suggest is either you book profits because he's making good money, or then if you're holding, hold with very strict stop loss.
Okay, got that. That is on Aster DM. I'm going to try to squeeze in one last query before we have to wind down on the show. So Dhanush writes in from Chennai, and he has 18 shares of Graphite India, which he bought at 460 rupees a piece. He says he's a medium-term investor and wants to know whether he should stay invested or sell at current level. So he bought at 460. The stock is at currently over 500 right now, 505. Kush, this stock has been picking up, but it is nowhere near the kinds of levels we have seen on this, right? It's trading at pretty much half of that. What would you suggest from only a medium-term perspective on this?
You're right, and in just last couple of sessions, we've seen a sharp uptick in volume, and the stock actually rising higher. Seems like a recent entry by the price that you've shared. So I'd suggest since the momentum's already there and the volume action also seems to be picking up, not a bad idea. Hold on to this one, ride the wave. 495 is where I would place my stop loss. Given the buy price of 460, it'd still be making about 10% profit on this one. Even if it falls to 495 trailing stop loss. The momentum could take the stock up to about 550 odd levels. So yeah, the suggestion would be hold this with a trailing stop loss.
Okay, hold it with a trailing stop loss. And you said 550, right, is where you could see it?
Yeah, 550.
Okay, got that. All right, let me also bring Shahina in now. Shahina, how would you look at this from a medium-term kind of perspective? Would you recommend staying in this stock?
Yeah, I would agree with Kush. Hold it, but keep a stop loss close to the buying price because, as it is like just, it's recently that China has started to again open up its steel plants. The demand for graphite rods is starting to pick up now. And after the loss that the company made in the first quarter, there seems to be some momentum coming back both in the business as well as the stock price. So hold, but hold with a stop loss close to the buy price.
Okay, that is on Graphite India. Can hold for now. That is the call coming in from both of our guests. But with that, we're going to wind down on this edition of this show. So Shahina, Kush, as always, thank you very much for joining us and answering all of these queries that have come through. We leave the market in fine fettle. It is 80 points higher on the Nifty. There's been quite a recovery from the lows, over 50 points. The mid-cap index also significantly off the day's low. Thanks for tuning in. We have closing bell after this short break for the final hour of trade this week.